Well, today's meeting or today's workshop is regarding automations. And I just personally feel that this might be a lot beneficial to you specifically. But again, Cohen will be presenting today, and I'm sure he's going to do an amazing job at that. But if you have any questions regarding any particular automation or as in the automation as in the whole, just let us know. Also, we are going to be starting within a minute, and I would just suggest if you could open the software in front of you as well. So while we are building it out, you'll be able to see the options as well. So if you have any specific question, we'll be able to answer that as well.
Thank you everyone for joining. Today we will be going over the rest of the automation, a few more triggers and what their uses are. What we're going over is the call status trigger, the customer replied, email events, form submitted, funnel website page view trigger, survey submitted, trigger link, and video tracking. So for the very first one is the call status. And what this trigger does is basically it will start the workflow depending on if a call has been marked the specific tag. For these examples, we have voicemail, busy outgoing, completed going, and no answer. And this is entirely a manual action depending on how the call is tagged or what the status of the call is. And to tell and how to change the status of the call is you would go to dashboard, scroll down, go to manual actions, and you should have your calls right here. We don't have anything because it's a dummy business account, but this is where your calls would show up for you to tag. For this, what you would use it for is entirely up to you. However you want to be notified if a call has been marked as voicemail, busy outgoing, completely going, no answer, you can notify a user that has been assigned two calls. Let them know, hey, you should follow up with this client and see how they are liking our services. Are there any questions about the call status trigger? Okay, cool. Next is the customer replied.
I had a question regarding the call status workflow. How will the system recognize if the call was busy or unanswered?
How will recognize it?
Yeah.
That is based on how the call is tagged in the power dialer, which I showed earlier in the manual actions.
Okay.
Yeah. Next is the customer replied. What this trigger is basically it will activate the workflow depending on which channel the customer has replied to. So we have one trigger for each reply channel, one for email, Facebook, Messenger, regular messaging, Instagram DMs, and so on. And so what this does is it's entirely up to you, but it will just notify you whenever someone has replied to you or to your business through one of these channels. And what you want to do for this is create an if-else action, which separates and branches off into each individual reply channel, and then you can add additional actions accordingly. Next is email events. For this trigger, it will activate the workflow depending on whatever filter you have set up for this. If the email event has been opened, it will notify you whenever the email that you sent them has been opened. You can also change it to clicked if the customer has clicked any links within the email or interacted with the email in any shape or form. Next is the form submitted. Very simple. Basically, if a form has been filled out and submitted in your funnel, in your funnels or your landing pages, it will activate the workflow and you can make actions accordingly. Say you want to assign a user to that to that customer that has just recently submitted a form, or maybe you want to send a follow-up email nurturing that relationship with the customer. Next is the funnel website page view. Pretty similar to the previous email events and the form submitted. It will notify you whenever a client or customer has interacted with the funnel website that you have made. Here you can add filters based on the page that you want to specifically trigger for. Right now we have it set for the dummy funnel, and this can be done for pretty much any funnel you have created. And next is the survey submitted. It's pretty much exactly the same as the form. It will notify you whenever a survey has been filled out, and you can make additional filters for that as well, whether you can disqualify if the information given is false, and so on. Trigger links. Some of you may be confused about trigger links and hyperlinks. Hyperlinks are basically essentially buttons that you make for your emails, your website, and so on, and they will take you to a different page. And trigger links are basically the exact same as hyperlinks, except it will or keep down the track down the statistics of how many people have clicked on this link, and you can make multiple trigger links. How many people clicked yes? How many people clicked no? And this can really keep track of, say, for example, how many people unsubscribe to your services, how many people subscribe to your services, and is really helpful for just keeping track of all your clients. Video tracking, pretty much the exact same as the trigger link. You can add filters and well, first off, you can implement videos or maybe help videos or videos explaining your services into our application. And depending on which video you added to the filters is, let's say we want to add a video, is any of, we don't have any videos available. Let's change it to funnels. Is any of, sure, let's use this. And you can keep track of how many people watch to a specific point in the video to let you know your viewer retention and how interested they are in the video topic, and what content you should cut out. Maybe you should keep the video shorter, maybe keep it longer. It really depends. But this trigger lets you know how many people or how much of the video the client has viewed. All right. Are there any questions about video tracking? Are there any questions at all that you can ask either me or Mustafa?
Well, if there are no more questions, I would like to go into the when and why use cases of each and every one of these triggers. And it's showing the tab in which there says the new workflow. I'm assuming it's a yes. All right, perfect. So, when and why? Regarding the first trigger, which is the call status, when will you use this and why? If you're working in an organization or if your business requires people to do sales call, basically, if they have a limited number or a fixed number of calls that they have to make every day, they can't just make a call and then go back into the contact page and then select whether to send them out an email or send them out a text or update it, basically the tags assigned to the call, the contact. So what you can do is you can use this particular workflow in which you can notify the system that whenever an incoming or an outgoing call gets either completed, or if the call was a no answer, or if it's a call was a busy, or was the call, if whether the call ended up in a voicemail. So based on whatever the scenario is, the system will do your action for you, and those actions can differ whether you want to send an email to a person. So for example, if you just completed a call with a potential client, you want that person to receive an email, but you don't want to take a pause and send that person an email and then move on to another call. So what the system will do for you is, as soon as you mark that call as a completed call, you can move on to the next call and the system will send an email on your behalf. And the same way, you can send out an email, you can internally notify a team member, you can add a task, you can add notes, you can add tags, and based on the limitless amount of actions that we provide you, you can choose any action that fits your scenario. Now, moving on to the email events. If you are working in a company or in an organization and it requires sending out emails, basically it could be a nurture workflow where you're sending out emails to nurture your potential clients. If it's a follow-up email that are being sent out to the people who have shown some interest to you, it could be an email reply to basically a scheduling link or a booking link, or it could be any email that the system is sending out. What you can do is you can select which email are you talking about, and if that particular email has been opened by the person who received it, and what action do you want to do now. So for me, if my email is being opened by my potential client, it is supposed to notify me that that particular person has shown some interest in my business. That's why he opened the email, and I want to be notified about it so I can call him immediately. Because as they say, the science is something like there's a 31 or 39% chance the other person will be able to understand the message I'm bringing and will be easier to convert into a sale if I reach out to him in 30 seconds or less as soon as he shows some interest. So I can use this trigger so that whenever an email of mine has been opened up by a potential client, I should be notified about it. So I can immediately either email them again, or I can call that person, or maybe I can add a task to myself or to the assigned user. Now, moving on to the third trigger, the customer replied. As Cohen mentioned, that you can set it up for each and every channel that the system allows you, be it Facebook Messenger, GMB, Instagram DM, call, even the chatbot, the chat widget, the live chat, or an SMS or call. So, whenever someone replies to me, I don't want the hassle to go into the conversations tab, then look for the message, then read the message, and then reply accordingly. What I want is as soon as I receive a reply on basically an email that I sent out, I can select which email that the person is has replied to and what to do then. Maybe I want to shift the focus from me to someone else to handle all the replies. Maybe I can add a notification or a task to myself to remind me after several hours to respond back to the conversations. I can add a tag to that particular user. I can even award that particular customer some points. And based on the previous video that we did last week, I showed how we can use the engagement score in order to initiate workflows. But speaking of them right now, you can assign them a score for every time your customer shows some sort of an interest in your particular business by interacting with you. And then based on the points value, you can have separate workflows be initiated, be it a discount coupon being offered, or maybe a book and call being offered, or something like that, whatever your case scenario is. Then regarding the form and survey submitted, and the Facebook, TikTok, or LinkedIn lead form submitted, these are the forms and surveys. Whenever someone, a particular client of yours, fills out the form and submits it, that data is being recorded by the system. But you want a notification, or you might want to update their status within the pipeline that you currently have, or maybe you want to send them out a thank you message, or maybe you want to send them out a booking link to get on a calendar and book a meeting with you, or maybe you want to call them for whatever reason might be necessary. So these triggers will be used whenever a form is submitted or a survey is submitted. Now, moving on to the trigger link. What the trigger link is, or what the trigger link does is, it has happened to all of us. I'm assuming that when we open an email, there are multiple links within an email. The link I'm mentioning about are the ones that are highlighted with the blue color and has an underline underneath it. So whenever you click on one of those, it opens the link in a new tab. So usually it's called a hyperlink. And what it does is when you click on the link, it redirects you to a different page. But why do we use trigger link instead of hyperlink? A trigger link is used so that the system can recognize that a particular action has been made by your customer or your potential client. So for example, if you are if you have an email which contains a trigger link of booking an appointment, get in touch with me, click here if you are interested, click here if you still have doubts, click here if you have not interested. So for all of those separate links, you could have separate automations or separate workflows. So for example, if someone clicks on the link where it says click here if you are highly interested, so that whenever that link has been clicked, you shall receive a notification to jump on a sales meeting with them immediately. But if someone clicks on the I'm not interested button, that person could be moved to the nurture workflow. So that person will be nurtured time over time, and so on and so forth. Again, it depends on how you're using it and what your entire strategy is about. Then moving on from that, we have video tracking. So if you are in a business where you have a lot of videos to show, it could be a video about your business, it could be videos about your events. But the best case scenario would be if you are a coach, or in an educational type field, or if you provide educational material, such as certifications, probably, and you have a lot of videos on different subjects. Now, if you have someone who is viewing your video, you could have a separate trigger if that particular video was watched or viewed for 0 to 25% duration, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. So, for example, if I'm watching your video and I watched just the first quarter of the video, and I then paused it and I just went ahead and did whatever I wanted to do, but I did not watch the video completely. I could be receiving an email, something about, we have been notified that you didn't complete the video completely. So would you like to jump back on the page and watch the entire video? A notification to me, maybe an incentive that would give me the push needed to completely watch the video. If I have watched the video, let's say 25 to 50 or 75%, I might receive a notification. Keep up the good work. You're almost there. You're just about to be completed. Watch the complete video and get this, get that. You'll achieve this, you'll achieve that, whatever your offer is or whatever value you're providing. And if someone has watched the video, let's say 75% to 100%, they could receive either a discount or a coupon or whatever the next step of the process you're offering. Maybe they would be given the access to the next course. They would be upgraded, their level will be upgraded, you'll be awarding them points, and so on and so forth. Again, depends on how you have structured your business. But the reason we are talking about all these triggers are to provide you the inspiration of what the possibilities are within this software. And based on the possibilities, then you'll be able to magically mix up some strategies, and maybe that would work for your business in order to get the exposure it needs, get the client it needs, and just grow. So, yeah, and then finally we have the funnel page, website page view. Again, this trigger would be initiated whenever a contact within your system visits one of your funnel or visits one of your website page, and you want to be notified about it. So, for example, if I have a funnel regarding, do you want us to upgrade your services? Now, I might want that if I am providing that value, and I want to be notified as soon as someone visits the funnel. So, for example, I have a link within an email regarding the funnel. So I am being notified if the person opened that email, but I'm not being notified if the person visited the funnel. So that might give me the prompt to reach out to them and ask them that you opened our email, you booked our appointment, you did this, you did that, but you did not view our funnel. So what's the holdup? And I might be able to solve out the differences. Or if a person visits my funnel or visits my website, I might be able to reach out to them immediately, asking how their journey went, if they have any reviews, any feedbacks, or if they are ready to make a commitment to something, if they are interested in the value I'm providing, and so on and so forth. These were the workflows and the triggers that we wanted to discuss with you today. And all of these triggers and workflows can be made by us, then they can be made by you. I would highly suggest if you would take out the time and go within these workflows and try to play around with them and see what the possibilities are. Or you can jump on a sales call with us or in a strategy meeting with us, and we'll be able to answer your problem by creating these workflows or automations for you. I hope that if you had any questions, the following statement just answered all of them. Yes, Mr. Jeff.
Yes. Okay. I really like that on being able to tell how much of the video they watched. If I wanted to, like I'm busy working and all this is going on in the background, if I wanted to get a notification by email or text or something that someone has watched 50 or more percent of a video, how would you do that so that it sends me a notification? That way I could might would want to just pick up the phone and give them a call.
Absolutely.
Is that too much of a trick question?
No, that's simple. You would just click on the video tracking. You would add a filter and wait for the filter to load. You would select the filter. The first filter that you would select is the video. Of which video are you specifying about? So right now within this account, we don't have any videos to select, so we can't use that. But after selecting which video you're talking about, the second filter you would be selecting within this trigger would be the video duration. So the options you get are, is the video duration equals to, is it greater than, Is it greater than or equal to? So let's say you say greater than, and you want the person you want to be notified, or you said less than, right?
If they watch more than half, so greater than
More
50%,
than half. Yeah. So
equal
greater
or
than,
equal greater than or equal to 50. Yeah, but that's fine for
I'll say
example.
49%, just to be sure.
Okay, all right.
All right. So whenever this happens, whenever your contacts within your business watches a particular video more than 49% of the video duration, what do you want? You want to be internally notified. So you can set up an internal notification. You can select a notification type to be an email, a
Oh,
push
I like that.
notification.
Yeah, I like an email or an SMS. That'd be great because may not have I may not have the software open right then.
Well, then we'll select the email.
Okay, or a text, but I
Then
like that.
yeah, and then you can select the name that email goes out from. The email, so probably the company's itself. So account name from account email address, and then whom are you sending that email to? So you can send it to the assigned user of that
Right.
particular email for that particular person, or if you're talking about someone specific to reach, the email should reach out to. Let's say for you, in case you can select particular user and then
Mhm.
select your own self. So for here we have the dummy user. So whenever someone watches that particular video and watches it for more than 49%, this email that we are about to type will be sent out to this particular person that we have selected.
Okay, so in other words, John Doe watched 50% of my video, and I'm just out and
Mhm.
about driving around, and I get a text. We've set it up so that it texts me. Can we? How many fields about that person can we insert so that I have enough information to call him right now while I'm out and about driving around?
Well, if you go into the custom values and sorry, and you click on the contact button, all the options that's shown in front of you
There you
can be
go.
added within this SMS.
Very,
So you can
very
add
nice.
his date of birth, you can add his address, his company
Call,
name, his
call him
phone,
about his
his
birthday. Hey,
email.
I see it's not your birthday, but okay, I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice.
And if you have any custom fields associated with your contact as well, you
Mhm.
can choose those as well, like the business operating hours, business phone, business start date, his GPA if you want to mess with him, something like that. So it again depends on what your case scenario is and how you want it to happen for you.
I
But
like it.
these these workflows, the main important part of these workflows are that these are not generic. These are specific case uses. So
Hmm.
the same trigger might be different for you. It might be different to how Orin is using it, and it might be different to how I'm using it. So it
Well, right.
depends on
If
what
you had
your
an
case
agent, if
scenario.
I was just going to say, if you had an agent that is sitting at their desk all day long, you'd send it to them differently than if you're not in the office and you're running around and outside sales or whatever, and somebody watched over half the video, and you want enough to just be able to pick up the phone and call them about it. Okay, I like that. That's
Absolutely.
wonderful. That's a wonderful
And
automation. I like that.
and this video tracking is not just for the contacts or your potential leads. If you are trying to upskill your employees, if you're trying to provide them videos of learning opportunities, you can even have that for your employees, so that you will
Mhm.
be notified whether your employees are actually watching the videos and trying to upskill or not, and then they shall be reminded about it, and now they know they are being tracked. So I
I
wouldn't
like that.
suggest you to use that, but
Thank
there
you for
is the
that.
possibility. What did I say that out loud?
I like that.
I forgot.
I see you didn't watch your training video. I just got a notification that you turned it off halfway through. So okay, I like that. Very good.
I'm trying to figure out how I can use this in a particular because this is very centered towards companies trying to generate leads and convert into sales. I'm a little bit different, so I'm trying to figure out how to cater it specifically to have the greatest effect for me. Because I'm collecting different information. My conversion is when they walk through the door here and make a sale, as opposed to returning a phone call or gathering information from them isn't always conversion for me. So, but while you were talking, I was looking through, even like you were talking about videos. I was like, well, where do I do videos? And I found where I can put videos and things. I'm trying to figure out where are all the things that I can attach it to get the kind of triggers that are going to give me the kind of responses that I need that allow me to. I think so, and I'm starting to see some things that I need to get connected so I can get my numbers a little bit faster, so then I can cater things like funnels and triggers and even phone calls and things like that, and responses, email responses, messaging responses, and things like that can use as triggers that can help me kind of formulate and organize how I communicate with potential customers in just a little bit of a different way than trying to convert on sales via phone call or something like that. So
you might could send, hey Dan, you might could send out a 2-day, a time sensitive coupon on something because they did whatever, if they, an in-store coupon, that would get them in because they watched the video or they did the form fill or whatever, something like that.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm just trying to think. I mean, the trigger thing makes sense to me. That's just a normal, if then tree. So I understand that. It's trying to figure out how to make it, have all the elements in place that I can use those triggers popularly for my type of business. So that's what I've been trying to look through and try to figure
out. Are you using Square for inside your office for purchases?
Yeah.
So I do know that the software can communicate with Square. So what you could do is as soon as someone makes a purchase inside the office, it automatically sends that data over into the software. And then based off that information, you could put a tag on it saying purchase Square, and then that could be the trigger or whatever it might be. That could be the trigger to do whatever automation you want, whether it's in a text message in 2 days saying, hey, thank you for making that purchase. Here's a coupon code to purchase something else for 20% off, or whatever you might want.
Time sensitive. Right. They get them back in within 2 days, 7 days, whatever, like use this coupon code for a, discount for the next 3 days or whatever. 100%. Like you get at Burger King or something.
Right. Well, that's what I was trying to find, because there were two things that, and they're not always connected to what the call is, but two things. One is where I can find out how to connect my Square to the software. And I'm not tracking Facebook ads, separate issue. And I can't find out where I can, attach my MetaSuite and all that kind of stuff to it. So maybe y'all could shout out real quick how to do those two things. How do I connect Square, Warren, do you know?
Sorry, I was taking a bite. So there's a couple ways you could do it. I can look into it a little bit better. The easiest way is using a third-party software like Zapier, Pabbly, something like that. We can set it up for you. We would just need logins to your account, and then that way you don't have to pay for a third party to do that. It'll go directly into your account. Now, that being said, if you want to do it yourself, it'd probably be a little bit easier because you don't have to wait for us to make any changes to it. But if you're just trying to transfer data that makes a purchase inside your store and then send it to the, to the software, that's pretty easy that we could do for you. So either way works. You could ask us to do it and we'll set it up. We just need logins to your Square account, or if you use a third-party software like Zapier, Pabbly, or if you know how to use webhooks, you are able to transfer that data that way as well.
Or you might could even do a quick meet and have him do it on the screen. So he's actually doing it, and you're telling him, okay, click here, do that, and then he's kind of learning on the fly too.
That's what I was going to say. I went into your schedule, Warren. You only have 3 o'clock, and we passed the 3 o'clock quest. So. Did you have any other time?
You missed that window. The trigger has been set. Closed.
3:03.
Is that really it? I didn't know that.
Hey, gentlemen, I am going to hop off. But good class. I'm enjoying these automations as they get deeper into all the automation things.
Thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to check to see why it's set for 3. I might have meetings at that time, so who knows?